call? Present? Present.
Here.
Here. Okay.
Can you tell us who's?
He did. Yeah, he did. All right, if you'll stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is that you, Persephone? Okay, thank you. It's wonderful to have you here, and we appreciate you starting a little bit early with this tonight. So, item number 1: awards, proclamations, and presentations. Do we have any of those, Karen? Okay, all right. Okay, item number 2: approval of the agenda. Everybody have a chance to look that over?
And we'll note the one addition
And we need to amend the agenda.
Oh,
to
that's
that.
right, okay.
for the revision of ordinance 4580,
Okay.
section 1-304.
Okay, so we have a motion from Vice Mayor Lindenbroker and a second from Commissioner Laura. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, 4-0. All right, now the minutes, sorry about that.
Make a motion to approve the May 10th, 2022 regular meeting minutes as printed.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Vice Mayor Lindenbroker and a second from Commissioner Vasquez. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Item number 4, items from citizens. Al, you had something?
Good evening, Commissioners, staff. This is the meeting that you usually like to see. The one in March, not so much. This one is better. You know, I'm here, Al Shank Insurance, representing Employers Mutual tonight. As an insured of Employers Mutual, you're a part of their Kansas Municipal Safety Group program. And when that program does well, all the cities their losses and that sort of thing, then the group shares in a dividend. And although the dividends are not guaranteed, in the past 17 years, the city of Liberal has been presented almost 1.3 million. Your average dividend has been $102,279. This year, the total group dividend was a little over 3.9 million, which represents a return to Kansas City's insured under this program. So I'm here to present a check to the commission tonight in the city of Liberal in the total amount of $110,565.08. So, Mr. Mayor, would you like me to give this to you? Would you like me to give this to the money man?
Yeah,
Chris
he probably
Ford?
would, yeah, so.
You're just gonna probably give it to him anyway, right?
Yeah, he would probably love to have it.
Okay,
I'm guessing.
so I will do that, and we're glad to be able to present this to you this year. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
appreciate it very much. Okay, great, great. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, Al. Come back as many times as you want with checks. Yeah. Any other citizens have anything they'd like to share? Okay, items from groups. Any groups present would like to speak to the commission? I think you're on the agenda, Kathleen. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Number 6, the consent agenda. All items listed are considered to be routine by the city commission and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a commission member or a citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. So we have several things. Traffic Safety Committee meeting minutes, two separate meetings, and then like 6 airport leases and 1 cereal malt beverage. Anybody want to discuss any of those at all?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed.
Okay, second. Okay, we have a motion from Vice Mayor Lindenbroker and a second from Commissioner Lara. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Number 4580.
Okay. All right, I thought that was last. All right, so, thank you very much for allowing me to work part-time the last 4 weeks. It's been very helpful getting a head start on some of the work. As we talked about in the initial process, I like to take 30 to 45, maybe sometimes 60 days to review the organization before we start making changes. So we're pretty close to, next week will be 60 days since you hired me, and we started kind of feeling things through. So, and we were going to present this in June, but since the schedule changed and I was here tonight, we accelerated it. So I do apologize for the short notice on this. I don't generally like to add things after the agenda goes out. However, so one of the things that I have noticed as I've gone through the departments and looked at the systems is that almost every area needs some type of improvement, whether it be policy, personnel, whatever it is. And looking at the way that we've been structured, 23 departments is, in my opinion, too much for one person to maintain day-to-day oversight of in the cumulative structure. So what I have proposed is that we break our departments into essentially 3 sections with overall responsibility and thing that happens or fails to happen within the city. And then we appoint assistant city manager for administration and assistant city manager for operations, allowing not only the implementation of the systems and the changes to occur, but to accelerate the timeline. So as you can see, we've broken things down into roughly things that are admin heavy or deal with some type of finance, as that is Mr. Ford's specialty. And we've taken the operational departments and left those under Mr. Beer. And then anything that deals with public safety, external communications, external agencies, so, tourism, economic development, engineering projects, things like that would remain under the city manager. Also, as we structured it, I would like to be the only employee that the city has that's affected by politics. And many things within the building department, planning, zoning, code enforcement, can oftentimes fire back pretty quickly on the city. And I want to catch that heat, and I don't want anyone else in the city to feel like that they're in a position where they have to say no to somebody that they feel threatened. That's my responsibility. So I have laid it out in this way. At this time, it's not adding any additional employees. So under the current ordinance 4580, section 1-304, sections A and B, provision for an assistant city manager, which is appointed in a short term from internal employees and paid an additional compensation. So the recommendation is that we replace the current verbiage with the verbiage that you have here, which essentially creates the position of assistant city manager for operations and assistant city manager for administration. Now, I am happy to answer any questions you may have on that.
The subsection C, title absence, that's basically
Exactly, duplicate of the current code.
That we slipped up and didn't get you what we had before, but there's a
Okay.
copy of it.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Anybody have questions?
No.
Okay. I think it's a step forward to make things definitely more efficient and easier for departments. More of a direct line to their supervision. I think it's a good idea, so.
And as much as I want to maintain my 24-hour rule from the time you give me something to the time I give you a response, sifting through 250 or 200 employees and 23 department heads, plus you guys, plus the citizens, plus the strategic partners, eventually I'm going to miss something. So, and if you know these guys, I definitely get a yin and a yang. So, and then
Very much so.
and if you notice, I've kind of identified an executive team, which is those two plus the city clerk. So I get the yin, the yang, and then I get the letter of the law lady who will tell us to make sure that we're staying on target.
And just as a question that I'm guessing some people would say, this at the moment wouldn't create any more financial burden for the city.
No, not at this time.
Okay. No, I think it's
Thanks,
great.
Charlie. I think you did a really good job.
Okay, we don't need to repeal the other, we're just gonna.
This does, but if you pass ordinance number 4580, it'll repeal the other language in section 1-304 of the city code.
I move the ordinance number 4580 be adopted.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Vice Mayor Lindebroker and a second from Commissioner Vasquez. Any additional discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Item number 8, economic development.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, staff, on Thursday, May 5th, the city participated in a joint meeting with the county as well as the SCDC, the Seward County Development Corporation. at which time the SCDC voted to accept the city back as a member of that governing body, or excuse me, of that body. About a week prior or so, or at their previous meeting, they revised their bylaws to make the provision for that. They took official action on the 5th. About a week later, 8 days later, the governing body here conducted a work session as we worked out the parameters of what our entrance into that body would look like. So some of the major conditions were, one, the city's economic development department would be eradicated, and we would officially become, all economic development done on behalf of the city would be done through the SCDC. All of our personnel in that department would be dismissed according to contract and obligation. The city has committed $150,000 a year in operating cost, plus an additional $50,000 for benefits for the SCDC. So it's important to note that Ms. Wallace, who's done a phenomenal job for us, will continue her employment with the city through June 18th. At that time, all economic development will go over to the SCDC with Mr. Swati running point. We did after the 13th meeting, Mr. Ford did an analysis of our projected costs throughout the end of the year, and we're in a position to, for the remainder of this calendar year, give the SCDC $100,000. We had $100,000 and some change left over in our budget for this year. I'd like to keep a small buffer just in case something unforeseen pops up or some later bill. And a number of commissioners had a number of concerns. One thing is that the process becomes uniform, it becomes more strategic, it becomes less confusing for those who wish to do business or move to Seward County or to the city of Liberal. I'll be honest with you, when I saw it, I was quite confused. One, does the city have one? One, does the county have one? And tonight, we would need the governing body to officially move for us to join the SCDC for economic development. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
I don't know if Mr. Swati wants to say anything. Okay. Okay.
All right, I will make the motion that the city of Liberal join SCDC effective immediately,
Well,
June 18th. What would be our timeline?
Yeah, I would say-
Technically, we would backdate to theirs, no? When they accepted us.
No, you can do it at any time. They allowed us to, they amended their bylaws
So
to
we'll
allow
just
the
leave
city
out
to
a
be a member.
date then?
So you-
Okay.
yeah, we'll
The
say-
city of Liberal to join SCDC.
Okay.
that'll work.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Lauren, a second from Commissioner Vasquez. Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Item number 9, citizenship presentation class. Now you can come up.
Hi guys, my name is Kathleen Alonzo. I am the citizenship instructor here at the community college. Since you guys just got a big check, I figured we could come and take a big chunk of that. Just kidding. But we wanted to present a project to you guys today. I wanted to show my students this year what it takes to get involved in the community and what that would look like. So I had them identify a need in the community. and that we ended up deciding out of all the topics, a specific one with additional lighting at a park. So I'm gonna go ahead and have one of my students present. I asked him to present in the language he felt more comfortable in, so he will be doing that in Spanish. I will get a translation. I have paper here and I'll hand those out in a second, and I can also provide translation right after so we can get the folks on live to know what's going on.
I would appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and hand this paperwork out, and then I'll go ahead and have him present real quick.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Juan Manuel Moreno. Vengo representando la clase de la ciudadanía del 2022. Estamos aquí para hacerles saber de que queremos mejorar un poco nuestra comunidad en base, en referente a los parques, que no tienen un alumbrado, pues el suficiente alumbrado para los parques. Y nos hemos dado la tarea de hacer una investigación, de aplicar o de instalar lámparas solares, que yo creo que nos ahorraría al condado una gran cantidad de dinero en el gasto de energía en parques. Y la verdad, estuvimos pensando en haciendo los recorridos con los parques, y lo que vimos que la mayoría de los parques están con muy poco alumbrado, así que nos dimos a la tarea de hacer esta investigación y llegamos a la conclusión de que es una buena decisión tomar cartas en el asunto con la energía solar en los parques. En esta primera cita, pues, tomamos en cuenta el parque El McRae y lo que es la pista que está en el centro recreativo, que es donde se reúnen más niños y más personas a hacer ejercicio muy temprano y por la tarde. Y tomando en cuenta que nosotros aquí en Liberal tenemos muchas horas de sol, nos ahorraríamos muy buena cantidad de dinero en esto del alumbrado público.
So just to recap what he just said, we are here to let you know of something we want to improve in our community. We have noticed that the parks do not have enough lighting, and we are concerned now that summer has arrived. People, both children and adults, go out for walks or exercise, and there is little or no lighting, and we feel that can be a danger for our community safety. We believe that lights are important in all parks, but this time we want to start with McRae Park. We think that this park is important because it is because it's near the recreational center where many children go, and near the tracks where many people run, as well as near the playground and the pool. Schools will also benefit from this project during winter because it is dark in the morning and there are many children who walk to school. We hope you take this project into consideration because it benefits not only some but the entire community. Thank you for listening to us, and we hope to have a positive response to our project. So attached, the forms that I handed out, there are a few. I had them do like a quick cost analysis. So there's two different options. There's a front and back paper, as well as a little packet, which is kind of like a DIY. You guys are able to pick the light pole and different lighting, stuff like that. Obviously, we don't have the same connection you guys have, so if you guys have other options that are more feasible, consider that. But I just had them just do a quick recap of some information that you guys can use in deciding whether to consider funding the project or helping us in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I do want to say thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just got excited because I actually used to teach citizenship classes, but because of this, I had to give up my class to Kathleen, which you're doing a great job. And Juan was actually one of my students, and I think it speaks volumes that he had the courage to come up here and speak in front of all of us and do all this research. I mean, I had it from day one, and I know you know how hard it is to come to a commission meeting and present your ideas. And I just want to say I'm extremely proud of you guys, and thank you for presenting this too.
So, either later this week or early next week, if you will get with Mr. Beer and set up a meeting, and he and the Parks Director and you and your class, or some representatives from your class, and sit down and we can and discuss concept, and then we can look at price, and then we can bring that back to the governing body, probably
Okay.
toward the end of June.
Perfect. That'll work. Thank you
Okay.
guys so much.
Okay.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 10, discussion on Central Business District. Eli.
Good evening. I am currently working with two individuals who are both interested in opening an eating and drinking establishment in downtown Liberal. According to Kansas Statute 41-710, those locations cannot be within 200 feet of any public or parochial school or college or church. As you guys know, we have several churches in or very near our downtown, and both locations that these gentlemen are interested in would fall within that 200 feet range of the restricted zone. There are a few options for how we can address this and support these businesses as they try to launch. One, those businesses can go and try to solicit written response from those churches or schools to allow that. Or two, the city can create a core commercial district and by ordinance allow businesses within that district to operate within that 200 feet range. So the Seward County Development Corporation requests that the City of Liberal consider creating a core commercial district as defined by KSA 2021 Supplemental 12-17.122 and pass an ordinance following allowing the location of retail stores, microbreweries, microdistilleries, or farm wineries to operate within the core commercial district without limitations governed by the 200 feet requirement. We feel that by establishing this core commercial district, it not only solves that issue for these two gentlemen and their proposed businesses, but it would also then, for future businesses who want to follow suit, take away that burden for them and for those churches and those schools having to sign off on letters all those times. So we would request that you consider developing that core commercial district. If you have questions about the proposal, and I would defer all legalese questions to your city attorney.
Do you have an area that you've identified that you want to be named as the core commercial district? And if so, what characteristics does it have to set it apart from the other areas of town?
So currently the city has, their C3 zoning is primarily the core central business district, although it branches fairly far west on 2nd Street. We would ideally like to extend it a little farther north on Kansas and a little farther east on 2nd Street as well. I did bring a map, but I can provide those maps as far as where we would consider an ideal core commercial district for you guys to consider.
I know our zoning code doesn't allow for microbrewery in the commercial codes. We need to add that to those, Lynn.
Or would creating this district cover that as long as they're in that district?
We would need to make our zoning code synonymous with our city codes. If we pass an ordinance that makes this area a core commercial district, and we have something that's contrary to that in our zoning regs, then we would also need to pass an ordinance amending our zoning regs simultaneously, which we would need to get to our zoning administrator and have them put together, and it may require notice provisions for amendment of that zoning, and then would require an ordinance to be passed by the city commission.
I know they were talking about cleaning those up, but, you know, I was looking through it, and it has zoning in the commercial for messenger and telegraph offices, dry goods stores, and so it's been a while since those have been updated. You sent me an email, Eli, which talked about where Dodge City basically said, you know, kind of what they had done to allow that microbrewery in there, and I know that he's not talking about doing canning, distribution, those kind of manufacturing sort of things. Could you address that a little bit?
Yes, we've been in communication with several cities. If you've looked at economic development across the state, well, even the country, the microbreweries, microdistilleries are popping up everywhere, and they seem to be rather successful in these communities. So we had conversations with Independence that has several, and Great Bend, as well as Dodge City. All of them address the issue a little bit differently. Independence wouldn't necessarily address, they would address the microbrewery side, but their process didn't address the drinking on site. And Dodge City, they were able to develop their zone in a way that they could produce it and sell it there. And then Great Bend, because they didn't have as many churches within that zone, they were able to process this using just the written agreement with that one organization. If you look at a map, though, we have multiple churches within a very close district to our downtown, as well as the Epworth Adult Learning Center is rather close to that as well. So we are looking right now at some different examples as far as what other communities have done with their zoning codes. Right now, Dodge Cities looks to be the cleanest example of how they were able to process that so far.
Okay, so I asked Eli to present tonight so that we could begin this discussion. So, I guess what we, invite the public to come next meeting and we can begin to, kind of like we did with the side-by-sides and begin to have that discussion. And I would assume too that we could begin to work on whatever we need to, Lynn, as we go forward, so.
Eli, timeframe, these two individuals who are wanting to do this, are they wanting to do this yesterday? I mean,
No, we recognize, both of them have significant plans for renovation and for development, and so we recognize the timeframe of all of that, and with public notice and with all of it. Obviously, we want to get new businesses and new growth in there as quick as we can, but we know that this is 3 months, 6 months out at best.
And I think we want to do everything we can to encourage, the growth of our downtown area. It's been kind of I know there's been a group, and they've been working for a little over a year on that, and this would be a big step toward making downtown a destination, so.
For sure.
Anybody else have anything for Eli?
This exciting news.
It's exciting, and I'm looking forward to both cleaning up the ordinances and getting new businesses in.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm gonna slip out. It's my birthday, and as much as I'd love to spend it with you, I'd rather spend it with my
Yeah.
Happy
family.
birthday.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday,
Birthday.
Eli. Thank you. Okay, item number 11, Mid-America Air Museum donation. Bob?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Venardo, I'm pleased to be here tonight. I'm also very thankful that I'm here to ask you to accept a donation instead of spending money. We have an opportunity to acquire a very unique microjet. This particular airplane, there is some dispute whether it's actually the very first one to be piloted or not. I'm not going to get into that. One would be a prototype and one would be an actual production version. But the aircraft that we're talking about is a microjet. It is very tiny, has a wingspan of approximately 11 feet. It's only about 16 feet long. The whole aircraft weighs about 500 pounds empty and 1,000 pounds fully loaded with fuel and a pilot. So this is very much in the category of, if you remember, the Coors Light Silver Bullet microjets, and also the little microjet that was in a James Bond movie. It's very similar to that. So these aircraft are basically new by aircraft standards. The first flight of a production model was in 2015, which is new as far as aircraft are concerned. This aircraft has been appraised at $158,000. So if you accept the donation tonight, then the gentleman who owns the aircraft will fly the airplane to the Air Museum at his convenience as soon as the weather is appropriate for a flight of that small of an aircraft from Enid, Oklahoma to Liberal. And once it arrives, we would drain the fuel and it would go on display. None of our aircraft, once we receive them, are ever intended to fly again. Usually, our insurance would prohibit that from happening. So we do not have any cost associated with normal aircraft maintenance like you would if you were going to fly an airplane. We don't have to have the annual inspections. We don't have to have rebuilds of the engines after so many hours, things like that. So our only expense involved with acquiring this aircraft was the $400 for the appraisal fee, which you have to have an appraisal that will meet IRS standards, because if you accept this donation, then Mr. Ford will be turning around and giving the donor a receipt for his charitable contribution in the amount of $158,000. Is there any questions? I should also mention that I'm absolutely certain there is not an example of this aircraft in any museum in the country or in the world for that matter at this time, and probably won't be for some time to come.
How were we picked? I read that it said he came to visit our museum, or how did he select Liberal?
Yeah, well, aircraft have a tendency to find us. We don't have to go out searching for very many. This gentleman had actually flown to Liberal, specifically to visit with me about what the process would be. He was also basically shopping air museums or museums in general to see which one he thought would be the best fit for this airplane. And in the end, he decided we were the best fit, and contacted me and wanted to see if we would go ahead and proceed with the donation process.
Thank you, that was very kind of him.
This one ought to be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Make a mo-
Oh.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I make a motion, we accept the donation of the Subsonics JSX-2 aircraft to the Liberal Air Museum. Hopefully have it up from the 39.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Vice Mayor Lindenbroker and a second from Commissioner Vasquez. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item number 12, equipment purchase for street/fleet department building. Julie?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayors, Commissioners. At this time, the Street Department would like to request the request to purchase 2 lifts for vehicles. This will be mainly used by the fleet maintenance, but it will be on the Street Department / fleet maintenance. And that will be for the amount of $16,878.94 from my brothers from Kansas City, Missouri. Excuse me?
Tell them what the other vendors told you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to.
Okay.
Appreciate it though. The only reason why we got only one quotation for you guys, one quote, it was because we tried to purchase it locally. However, we were advised by one of our friends from one of the auto parts. If we go this route, we will save about 10%, because every time they will purchase it from this company anyways, and they will add their 10% deal. So we will save money this way going with these guys. Whenever we contact them, they said, yeah, there will be no problem for us buying it directly from that distributor from there. And I was going to explain too, the 2-post vehicle lift, it will be replacing the old one that we had at the street department. I've been with the city for 26 years, and about 6 or 7 months for part-time, so almost 27 years. And lift was already with us, so it's pretty old already, it's about 30. I did some research. The lifetime expected from one of them is approximately 30 to 35, maybe 40 if it's, hardly ever used, but we use and abuse that one. And the 4-post one will be an addition to the ones that we will have. This will allow us to be more effective. Sometimes we do run a lot into the problem that we were waiting for parts, and the car is already on the lift. So if somebody else comes around and wants something done to the vehicle, they have to wait. And, of course, we're in Liberal, Kansas, so there is no such a thing as overnight. Most of the parts, it would take about 2-3 days or so. Sometimes it's been taking about weeks later on, so that will be accelerating the process of making another vehicle service or whatever needs that is in there without the need of taking the other one off the list, or if we cannot take it off the list, we just have to wait. But at this point, we think it will be a good deal if we can purchase this, and that's what we can present it to you guys. Got any questions?
How much is the shipping?
Shipping, I talked to them, and they did not include it because whenever they give us a quote, it was included with the price. So there is no shipping involved.
You guys will do this installation yourselves, Chuck?
Yes, sir. They can do it for us, and I do apologize. I should put the other quote on it. I just didn't want to scare you guys with it. The installation for one of them, for the 2 posts, it will be $1,200 just for that one. For the 4 posts, it will be $1,600 more. Plus, they will be charging us $1,300 for traveling expenses. So we will be saving about pretty close to $5,000 if we install it ourselves. I did ask them about warranty, if it would avoid it or any problems with it. They said no, and we will still have that 1-year warranty on it. The only thing that we will be getting advantage from them installing it from us, we will gain 1 more year of warranty wise. All things considered, the 2 post list is gonna be $7,000. So we could almost buy another
Could buy it with what we save.
for the amount, so, but that's the reason why we decide to install it ourselves.
This will go in your new building, right?
Yes, sir.
Where you have a little bit more room to do that too, right?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
So,
I'm excited to get that building filled and ready to go.
you and me both.
The old lift, are you guys gonna leave it where it's at, or are you just gonna scrap it completely or move it to the new building as well?
No, we will leave it there where it's at.
Okay.
We figured, the department that will go in there, they will get some good use out of it, so.
Instead of it too.
I don't think it is big, but I don't think we'll have that much room for 4 stations in there, so, yeah. I think it will be better if we just leave it there.
So you guys just have the 1 lift now, right?
We got 2.
Oh, you do have 2?
We got 2. We got a 2 poles and a 4 pole.
Okay.
The 2 poles, is 10,000 pounds capacity, the ones that we got right now. And 4 poles is 14,000, which I mean, you can put about a little dump truck on it, no problem, I will raise it up. But yeah, we got 2 right now, so we will ended up having 3 instead of 2.
Okay, any other questions for Chuck?
I'll make a motion that we purchase a 2-post and a 4-post lift from Myers Brothers for a price of $16,870.94 for the street department.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Vice Mayor Lindenbroker and a second from Commissioner Lara. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chewy.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 13, city staff. Anybody have anything? Brad? Or Chris, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to apprise the commission on the animal control. On the animal control, you know, we previously had a donation that was made for the dog park. In conversations with the donor, it was decided that their stipulation was that it be performed by a contractor. And due to the availability of the non-availability of contractors, it was decided that that project would more likely need to be scheduled for later in the year. So the donor did request a return of the donation, which is included in tonight's vouchers for $20,000. However, the donor did specify did request that we contact them when it comes time to do the project, and if the project ends up being more, that there may be more funds available. So just wanted to apprise the commission of why there hasn't been very much activity on that. And so we're just temporarily placing it on hold to get that stated.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Anybody else? Kelly?
I just want to take this opportunity to give you a little bit of an update on some projects that we have. Probably the most recent one will be our SCBA lease purchase project. Received the contract on that. It was all as passed in the previous meeting. It's been through review, and we hope to get that signed in the next day or two. The equipment will be ordered, so that project will be coming to fruition. We had the special meeting for the rec center back in February on the 24th, and the code footprint was submitted to the state fire marshal's office. The initial letter, it was termed a denial letter, but actually it's just a go back to work letter. And we did a walkthrough today with city manager and several members of the fire department, rec department, and we addressed basically, as we left that meeting, we addressed all of the issues, and that'll be resubmitted back to the state fire marshal's office, hoping to get the final approval on the code footprint to start moving forward with the rec center project. Have that, and then just from the fire department standpoint, very thankful for the blessing of rain. I was starting to get nervous already thinking ahead to the 4th of July and the fireworks
Yeah.
issue. If we stayed in the drought conditions we were in, it was gonna be tough to not maybe take some action on that. And I remember last time, it was like, city attorney said, be ready for pitchforks and torches when they come after you for canceling that. So,
I mean, they'll have artillery shells available, so.
this will certainly help.
Oh,
And then we have had a significant amount of training going on in the last few months, and some things that, you authorized us to join U.S. Search and Rescue Task Force 6, and just yesterday, a couple of our people made a trip up. That's gonna be an all-comprehensive rescue. They've attended training that had to do with sonar for building collapse and urban search and rescue. We'll be hosting on help me with the date, June 27th. City of Liberal Fire Department will be hosting the other departments, members of that Task Force 6, and we'll be specializing in the trench rescue. So then just yesterday, we had 2 of our personnel. We don't want to commit too many to this because this is Liberal, Kansas, and we finally got rain first time in forever, but they're doing swift water and dive rescue as well, so they actually had their first pool day to get acclimated to put a couple of our people perhaps on a regional dive team to deal with dives, search and rescue, and those sort of things. So we're really getting a lot of specialized training out of participation in this group. And going on and on here, but also on Saturday, we hosted the Kansas Fire and Rescue Training Institute, brought their grain engulfment prop out here, and I believe it was 15 of our personnel and 1 guy from Dodge City trained all day. Not only did they get grain engulfment rescue training to go along with some of the equipment that we've received through the Department of Homeland Security. We received coffer dams and augers and anything that would be necessary to conduct grain rescue. Not only did they get that training, but several of them also participated in what was a train the trainer, so now they're authorized to go and teach that training as well. So they'll be very skilled in that. And then my continued participation on the Regional Homeland Security Council. We got a little bit more equipment we put into service in the last 2 weeks. They're just called hot sticks, current sticks, so that say we had severe weather come through and we needed to walk a neighborhood just assessing damage to buildings or houses. If we pull up on a car wreck where power poles are damaged, these are just some current sticks that they can turn on. The guys can walk up to the scene with that in there. If there's electricity on the ground, it'll detect that current and give them a warning that there's electricity present. So that's some equipment that we got through that we didn't have before. Just some update on things that have been going on. Any questions, Mike?
I do have a question. So we got the back to work order on the rec center code footprint. Do you have an idea how long that might take for it to go through their process and back?
We received it on Wednesday. met with CJ from Earl's Engineering and hashed it all out today. They have 90 days, we need to get that back to them within 90 days. If it doesn't get to them in 90 days, it gets recycled. We go back to the bottom of the stack and we start back at square one. I don't foresee that happening at all. I think it's pretty clear we want to move on that as quickly as we can. The faster we get it back to them, the faster they will collect.
Oh, so at this point, we're not starting from the bottom again? and
Absolutely,
waiting
no,
for
absolutely
2
not.
months. Great.
We're right on schedule with where we should be in the process.
Good news.
That's good to hear. And I also do want to say thank you. I really do appreciate all the hard work that goes into these monthly summaries.
Absolutely, you're welcome. Deputy Chief Bolton, he's the steward of the monthly summaries, so
Thank you.
that's his work.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Any other staff have anything else?
Come, talk about the graduation last week. Doug?
Oh, yes, the,
You should know, we love putting you on the spot. Without warning.
What part of the graduation would you like to discuss?
Just the program and what the graduation was for.
The community academy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on high school. I was on high school graduation. I'm sorry. Okay, so we had our first community academy that went from the end of January to last week. Throughout the time, we had 14 weeks. We taught just about every kind of topic you could think of, from traffic enforcement all the way to criminal law and everything in between. So we started with 30 students, and then we went to 22, and we ended up graduating 18. So yeah, they stuck it through. It was good. I mean, I had a lot of positive contacts with and a lot of positive feedback, and so my next one is going to be, I would like to do one for the Hispanic community with Spanish only. So it's just something we're a little more in depth, but we're going to give it a shot.
that's good to hear. So you'll have Spanish-speaking officers or translators? How will it work?
I think both.
Both, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we have 14 Spanish-speaking officers on the department right now.
Oh,
So
that's
14, and hopefully we can make that work.
That's exciting to hear. And I would recommend maybe going to like La Mexicana to advertise it that way.
Oh,
People
absolutely.
in our community find out about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on Enrique's show.
Yeah, that would be
Talking
good.
about
Oh, okay, that's exciting.
Yeah. Yep.
And I've also heard very positive comments about your community walks. I've heard nothing but great feedback from community members and business owners, so I do want to say thank you for that as well.
Well, if you follow my Facebook.
I have been following it.
Oh, you're it?
Yeah.
So it's I'd like to say I reinvented a lot of wheels, but this is not a reinvent the wheel. I'm on the phone with the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania police chief about 6 months ago. And he tells me he has to call me back because he is literally on a walk. And I said, what are you talking about? So he describes his walk. And I said, well, I'm going to do that. And so about, I don't know, a week later, 2 weeks later, he calls me back, and I said, I can't talk to you, I'm on a walk. So it's worked out pretty well.
You guys are doing a good job.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Brad? Okay.
Update on the wastewater treatment plant, still, they're working guys, getting that ready to go. We're probably mid-June. Yeah, we're taking 100% city water. 100% city water.
Oh, great.
So that's moving forward. I don't know if you noticed, Second Street goes open to Main Street. So that's kind of handy.
Westbound, or westbound to eastbound, so west to east, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The pool, knock on wood, should open this weekend. Get some water in it. And, soccer fields, nets were finished up yesterday, so when they start playing, we did 120 foot of netting behind each goal. keep them out of the apartments, keep them off the road. So those will be ready next week when they start playing.
Your two projects out there, Harold, do we have any progress on those, the drainage and then your building?
The drainage is, they're supposed to start June first, around June first. And then once our building pretty much has to go in before the drainage. I mean, they'll start our building, build the pad, get all that, and then start the actual drainage from like John Jacobson Drive back to the west. So you should see some dirt moving in the next week or so.
Mhm. Good. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. City managers report.
Well, so, like Chief said, we went through the rec center today. Got long road ahead of us. There's a lot of work, but there's tremendous payoff and potential once we get that complete. So that's encouraging. We have 3 AC units in City Hall that are in need of repair. We have one bid. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll get the second and third bids. We're at least gonna try, but that's gotta be action pretty soon, because we've got one unit kind of pulling the weight of the building, so, we'll see a pretty hefty bid here, hopefully by next meeting on that. Brad mentioned the sewer plant. I walked through last week, I believe, and it is astonishing what amazes me these days, like what I get excited about. I was so excited, like I cannot wait to take the commission through and then do the open house, because that is what right looks like. I know it's expensive, I know that it was long overdue, but my goodness, that thing is magnificent. I don't want to be known as the city with the greatest sewer plant in Kansas, but I'll tell you, I think that we have the greatest sewer plant in Kansas once this thing gets open. That's not all we have to be proud of, but that is a tremendous step in the right direction. So we're gonna, you guys have to tell me when you're ready to get them over, and we'll get that. But that it's exciting. So anything we do moving forward, we need to build like, maybe not to price, but to the standard that we built that sewer plant, because it really is phenomenal. We have some much needed help on the way for the staff. We get a accounts payable clerk, which we desperately need, starts next week. There's a little confusion on the assistant to the city manager. It is not an assistant to the city manager. It's not a new position. It's one that was unfilled, but it's essentially the deputy city clerk / a shared assistant amongst the admin staff. So for Brad, Chris, myself, Alicia, that's what that position's filled, and she's scheduled to start Tuesday, I believe. And then also on Tuesday, we get our new, what's his title? Building department director. He's coming over from, he was in the building department, but he was ready to step up and get to work. So good things happening on the staff, good things happening in the city. And once again, I really appreciate the confidence and the job. It's gonna come in handy with college kids. But anyway, that is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 15, items from commissioners. Ron's gone, so it's up to you, Jose.
I'll go ahead and pass tonight. I'm not big on being first. I'm just happy with everything that's going on, so we'll leave it at that.
Same, I'm very excited about all the positive changes. I do want to give a shout out to Rusty. I didn't mention it at the last meeting because you weren't here, but back in April, we attended the Governing Body Institute in Kansas Mayor's Conference, and I was just very impressed because he was one out of 2 individuals who, he basically got a certificate of completion for all of these courses, which means you're very knowledgeable, but I'm like, I aspire to be like you someday. I thought that was a really good recognition, so.
Thank you.
Very proud of that.
You're still the boss.
I'm still proud of that.
Chris?
Good tonight.
Okay, well, I just want to say, glad for the rain, number 1. Number 2, not necessarily in that order, but very excited to have Rusty on board, and look forward to some great things in the future. That's all I've got. Item number 16 is the vouchers.